Welcome to Website and TV. Today I'm joined by Dominik Schwarz, who is the Chief Inbound Officer at HomeToGo. And we're going to be talking about link building and PR. During the International Search Summit Munich, Dominik gave a great talk showing a case study about how that strategy has really helped the company to grow internationally and benefited its SEO, and he's going to tell us more about that today. Hi Dominik.
Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you for being here. So, starting off, just for a bit of context, can you tell us a little bit, just explain what HomeToGo is and also your general kind of approach and focus for your online marketing efforts?
So HomeToGo, as a meta search engine, we aggregate the inventory of hundreds of different providers and make it searchable in one interface. And of course, we deliver traffic and we get traffic from a lot of different marketing channels, but SEO is still at the core of the company's heart.
And obviously within that, there's a lot of different elements to SEO, but one really important one is around the idea of links still, and PR and mentions and reputation. So what have you been doing to really focus on that and to make sure that works and is part of your strategy?
It's good you say that. So we talk a lot about the infrastructural topics and the technology topics, but links and mentions and recommendations Google can read is still a core part of SEO. So that's for sure a focus area. Most important part here is we try to break down the silos. So in most companies, you do have a PR department or PR people, you have link builders or link building team, and you have content marketeers or copywriters. And in most companies, they don't really talk with each other. They fight in worst case with each other and blame each other when things are not going that well. And PR is anyway maybe not in the production process. And we tried to make it differently. So we broke down the silos and have one unified inbound department where we do content marketing, or however you want to call it in detail then, content marketing and PR and link building all in one. And
that's obviously really important because they are all part of the same thing. Traditionally they weren't, but now they really are. You know, PR on its own as an offline kind of journalist channel isn't necessarily the way it works now, or isn't the way it works. So how have you kind of changed the mindset as well and the approach on how you actually create content and approach the media?
I think it's important to understand that the classic PR approach is not an approach to grow your business. It's basically communication work. And there are lots of great PR companies out there, but they don't do your growth job if you're a company that actually wants to grow in traffic. Yeah. So you can't hire a PR company and expect that they really will scale your business. Still, the techniques and the strategy behind PR often is an integral part of an SEO strategy and a link building strategy. So we try to take the best from the PR world, how to approach people, the creative writing skills, the production skills of stories, and apply additionally a performance marketing mindset on top. And that's basically our overall approach to this, which comes with a lot of training, with a lot of education on this internally.
Yeah, you must have, because you really got to get people who maybe are used to working in a certain way to really understand the benefits and be on board with it and all work together, which is
absolutely,
and
it's a constant training process. Absolutely.
And what are the kind of key elements, just briefly, in the kind of process that you follow then in terms of how you kind of start from thinking about what story to create to then actually pushing it out there?
I think it's important to put the whole process, so to split the whole process into different stages. You can repeat every single flight you do, every single project you do. So we have a 5 to 6 step process from research to monitoring and all the steps in between. That is always the same no matter what kind of story we run. And to start with the first one, it's maybe the most important one, we create stories for topics with demand. We never just try out if a topic sticks and go with a shotgun and like do this topic and this topic and this topic, and some of them work and some of them don't, but we try to identify really early in the process as step one, what is a topic where there is interest, and then we try to find a new angle to this topic. We try to shape the story in a way that it makes sense for us. And that's much more successful than just randomly shooting out stories.
Yeah, and also the time and effort that you have to put into creating a really good piece of content that is going to be interesting is a lot. So if you're doing that on stories or content that isn't going to work, then it's a lot of wasted effort. So
Absolutely.
It's worth spending that more time at the beginning to get it right and not waste time further down the line.
And it's way less frustrating for the team as well. If you do a lot of stories and you put all your work and your effort and your motivation into a piece of content and nothing happens, and then you already need to work on the next one, that's a super frustrating thing.
Yeah.
So it's internally and externally, of course, important to show your team members, to show your customers, to your potential customers, and as well, of course, Google, that everything you do
there's a purpose to
has
it and
a purpose.
reason.
Yeah.
And of course, you are an international company. I think you've got over 20 different language websites, so you're targeting people all around the world.
Yeah.
And we know that that's really important to do, with local relevant stories with the right language. So how do you scale this process then on that huge scale?
Yeah, and you need to do it locally. I think that's a super important point you mentioned here. You can't expect to run the exact same story in 20 different markets. That's impossible.
Yeah.
However, what you can do is you can adjust the same basic story idea to different markets. I presented yesterday a case study on this, and I think the key takeaway here is that the same idea can be, with not that much additional work, applied to different smaller markets.
Yeah. So you don't have to start from scratch, you don't have to come up with a whole new idea, but you do have to take the parts that make sense and tailor it, which obviously makes sense.
And you do need native speakers for this. You need people who really understand the market and how a market works in which way, what are topics people are interested in, and topics maybe that are not relevant for people in a certain market.
And then how do you actually monitor the success of this? What looks like success? How do you actually say this worked, this didn't work? What do you look for?
I mean, there's a whole industry in assessing results and monitoring and reporting. And we try to keep it as simple as possible because I don't want to spend as much time on reporting and measuring that I spend on creating a story. So we keep it really deadly simple. And the first thing we look at is traffic coming from stories we ran from external sources, because it's the best indicator if a story actually worked. If we get traffic from a third-party source, that means we have a link from there. That means people actually interacted with this story.
Yeah.
That means it met a demand. It really was. Yeah.
And it took them through all the parts of the process that you want. So,
exactly. And don't expect to make this specific traffic growing your business, because referral traffic will never be comparable with SEO and organic traffic, of course, but it's an indicator for the success and the importance of the stories.
And also in today's world, brand awareness is so key, especially in competitive industries like travel. So even if this traffic doesn't immediately become business, having greater knowledge, people understanding that you're connected to this industry is always going to be helpful.
It's a proxy for authority in your topic,
which, as we know, is more important than ever, and there's more fake information out there, so consumers are more conscious about finding a brand that seems to be authentic and true.
Think.
Absolutely, yeah. So what would your one kind of really important bit of advice be to any business looking to kind of take this approach or be more successful with this approach than they currently are?
Quality. I think it's really about quality, and I know I'm not the first one who's saying that, and I won't be the last one, and it's basically the mantra we preach for a long time, but I think now we're at the point where it really is unavoidable that you deliver real quality. And quality is not only I create a good story, but it's also quality in the sense of how good is the quality in my outreach processes? So do I send out 1,000 different emails to journalists and bother them and spam them? No, please do not. Rather send out 5 emails because you did the research well. It's much more successful, much less frustrating, and just better quality. And the same goes through all different parts in the process.
And that's also going to help you with your building relationships, I guess, with medias or media bloggers, journalists, whoever, because they feel like you're actually more relevant.
Talk with humans on a human level, and that's the thing.
That's always the best advice.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much for sharing that, and also for all your insights you gave during the conference yesterday.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And if you're interested in seeing the full talk that Dominik gave, including more examples and more detail on the whole process, then you can follow the link below to sign up for that. Thanks for watching.